Hello everyone, wishing you all good health and peace in life. Today, we follow Huyen and Dee on a quiet but powerful part of their journey, one filled not with fanfare, but with gratitude, reflection, and deep emotion. Huyen and Dee discover Adam's sacrifices as they visit his family on their journey home. On the road, back to the place where their hearts belong, they made a stop not just at a house, but at the home of someone who had walked beside them through darkness. It was here, among the gentle smiles and worn hands of Adam's family, that they began to understand the quiet sacrifices he had made. In that simple home, filled with warmth and old memories, Huyen and Dee's hearts swelled with both sorrow and gratitude. Sometimes, it takes standing where someone came from to truly understand how far they've gone for others. The train rattled gently along the tracks, carrying with it the weight of memories, hope, and unspoken fears. Huyen sat by the window, her arms wrapped gently around Maya, who had fallen asleep on her lap. Outside, the golden fields of the north slowly emerged, familiar and yet distant. It had been years since Huyen last saw these lands, her hometown, where sorrow once lingered, but where she now hoped a better future might begin. Dee sat quietly across from them, his eyes steady, filled with thought. He had given up many things to protect Huyen and Maya, never asking for anything in return. His love was not loud, but constant like the train itself, quietly moving forward no matter the weather. Huyen's heart was heavy as she left behind the small life they had tried to build in the South. A place full of struggle, yes, but also of love, friendship, and resilience. There, Adam had helped them when no one else did. There, Maya had learned to count stars and sing lullabies beside a warm fire. But the future called her back to the north, to the land where Maya could go to school, where they might start again with more stability. As the train neared the station, Huyen bent down and gently wiped Maya's face. "Wake up, sweetheart," she whispered. "We're almost home." Maya yawned, her small hands reaching for Dee. He smiled and picked her up with care, as if she were the most precious thing in the world. At Bimsun Station, the air was cooler. The sky above looked like it had just wept. Huyen clutched her bag while Dee carried their few belongings. Maya, now fully awake, looked around curiously, her little hand wrapped tightly around Huyen's fingers. They didn't go home right away. Instead, they decided to visit Adam's parents, who lived near the station in Ingathen commune. Adam had been their guardian angel in the South, and they wanted to thank his family. Huyen hoped they could bring a little peace to Adam's mother, who had not seen her son in many months.
The path to the house was narrow, lined with wildflowers and small ponds. When they finally found the house with a tiled roof, Adam's mother, Mrs. Them, welcomed them with surprise and warmth. She invited them to stay the night, though she lived alone, her husband away working and her younger children in boarding school. Her heart was wide open.
That night, they shared a simple meal of stir-fried shrimp from the pond, boiled eggs, and rice grown in the backyard. The food was humble, but tasted richer than any feast. As they ate, they shared stories about Adam, how kind he was, how much he missed home, how he had helped them survive in the South. Mrs. Them listened with teary eyes. her hands trembling slightly as she received the money Adam had sent through them. Maya played with Baby and laughed with joy, running around the garden. Dee helped fetch water. Huyen helped prepare dinner. For a moment, it felt like family warm, gentle, safe. Before bed, Huyen looked out the window into the quiet night. Crickets sang in the fields. Maya slept peacefully beside her, and Dee had already dozed off on a mat nearby. Huyen whispered a prayer, not for wealth or success, but for peace, just a simple, lasting peace where they could live, work, and love in safety. Tomorrow, they would continue their journey to their true home. The road ahead would not be easy, but tonight, they were together, and that was enough. The next morning arrived gently, with soft sunlight slipping through the cracks in the wooden window. Birds chirped in the distance, and the scent of damp earth lingered in the air after a night of rain. Huyen slowly opened her eyes, listening to Maya's quiet breathing beside her. Dee was already outside, helping Adam's mother sweep the yard. The image brought a soft warmth to Huyen's heart. Dee always seemed to know what to do, without being asked. After a simple breakfast of rice porridge and pickled vegetables, they said goodbye to Adam's mother. She held Maya's hands and kissed her forehead. "You remind me of Adam when he was little," she whispered, smiling through her tears. "Take care of each other." "All right, we will," Huyen promised gently. "Thank you for everything, Auntie." The walk to the bus stop was long, but peaceful. Maya rode on Dee's back, giggling as she pointed at buffaloes grazing in the distance and birds flying low over the rice fields. They arrived in Ha Trung by late morning. The familiar red soil, the quiet hills, the small houses scattered along narrow paths, all of it brought a wave of memories rushing over Huyen. Some painful, some beautiful, but all part of who she was. Their new home was still just a simple wooden frame. Dee had worked on it little by little. During short trips back in the past, there were no doors yet, no proper roof, just bamboo walls and a dirt floor. But to Huyen, it was more than enough. "This will be our home," Dee said softly, setting Maya down on the wooden platform. "It's not finished, but we'll build it together." Huyen looked at the open sky above their heads. The wind was gentle, the air fresh. She took a deep breath and nodded. "We will build a life here, for Maya." The first few days were hard. There was no electricity, only a small oil lamp. They fetched water from a well nearby. Huyen cooked over a wood fire, her hands raw from carrying firewood and scrubbing pots. Dee spent long hours repairing the roof and sealing the walls. Maya helped in her own sweet way, picking wildflowers, singing to the chickens, helping feed Baby. One evening, as they sat under the stars after a simple dinner of boiled vegetables and rice, Maya curled up next to Huyen and whispered, "Mommy, I like our new house." Huyen's eyes filled with tears. She kissed her daughter's forehead and looked at Dee, who gave her a gentle smile. "It's not much," Huyen said quietly, "but it's filled with love." That night, as wind rustled the banana leaves and frogs croaked from the nearby fields, Huyen felt a rare peace settle over her heart. They didn't have much, no wealth, no certainty, but they had each other. They had love, effort, and hope and in the countryside's quiet embrace, that was enough to begin again. A week had passed since Huyen, Dee, and Maya returned to the countryside. Life moved slowly, marked by the rhythm of the sun and the songs of birds at dawn. Every morning, Dee woke up early to finish building the fence. Huyen swept the yard and prepared a simple breakfast, often just rice and a bit of salted egg. Maya would sit on the bamboo step outside, feeding crumbs to the chickens and humming softly to herself. Despite the hardships, something about the simplicity of this life felt right. One afternoon, as Huyen was washing clothes by the stream, an elderly woman walked by carrying a basket of bananas on her back. She paused and looked at Huyen with kind eyes. "You must be the young family who just moved back here," she said gently. "Yes, we just returned from the south," Huyen replied, bowing politely. "I'm Huyen, and this is my daughter Maya." The woman smiled. "I'm Auntie Lan. I live just past the bamboo grove. If you ever need anything, salt, firewood, or just someone to talk to, please don't hesitate." Huyen's eyes softened. "Thank you, Auntie Lan. We're still trying to settle in. It means so much." From that day on, Auntie Lan came by, often bringing small things like a handful of green beans, a piece of banana cake, or news from the market. In return, Huyen shared their boiled sweet potatoes or invited her to sit for tea. Slowly, a sense of community began to form around their little home. Meanwhile, Dee began asking around about local schools. One morning, he returned from the commune office holding a paper and a small smile. "They said Maya can start school next week," he said, handing the paper to Huyen. "There's a small village school nearby. It's not fancy, but the teacher is kind." Huyen took the paper in her hands, eyes watering. "Maya is going to school." Maya, overhearing, jumped up and down. "Mommy, I want to learn letters like Uncle D taught me." "Yes, my love," Huyen said, hugging her tightly. "You'll go to school and have friends, and maybe even become a teacher someday." The night before Maya's first day of school, Huyen and Dee sat by the oil lamp, patching up an old dress for her to wear. Dee had carved a small wooden pencil box. Huyen had sewn a little fabric pouch to hold Maya's books. It wasn't much, but it was made with love. On her first morning, Maya held Huyen's hand tightly as they walked to the school. Other children stared at her shyly, curious about the new girl. Huyen kissed Maya's forehead before leaving. "Be brave, my little flower," she whispered. "Learn well." As Huyen walked home alone that morning, the silence felt strange without Maya's small footsteps beside her. But it was a good kind of quiet, a quiet filled with hope. Back at the house, Dee was planting more vegetables in the garden. When he saw Huyen return, he smiled. "She's going to do great," he said simply. Huyen nodded. "I know." That afternoon, Maya came running home, covered in dust but glowing with joy. "Mommy, Uncle D, I made a friend. Her name is Lean, and my teacher said I write letters very well." Dee lifted her into his arms, spinning her around. "That's our girl." That night, they ate rice with sautéed pumpkin leaves and laughed under the stars. Their house was still unfinished, their income uncertain, but something had changed. They had begun to dream again. not just of survival, but of a future. And for Huyen, Dee, and Maya, that was the most beautiful beginning of all.